All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my friend Bryce Covert. Bryce is the economic policy editor at Think Progress, which you can find at thinkprogress.org. You can also follow her on Twitter at Bryce Covert. Bryce, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so Bryce, let's start out with some pretty big news, and then the news that it involves the National Labor Relations Board and everyone's, I wouldn't say necessarily favorite, but everyone's most well-known giant real retailer, Walmart. Tell us about the news.
This is really big Walmart news. As you said, the National Labor Relations Board yesterday announced that it is going to prosecute Walmart, the companies, and the world's largest private employer, for violating workers' rights. Specifically, it relates to workers who have been going on strike. Last year on Black Friday, we saw 400 workers walk out on strike, and since then we've seen some waves of strikes. We saw some actually in the past couple weeks. And workers have since then been complaining that the company has either fired them or disciplined them for doing that, that they've been threatened before they go on strike, all of which they claim is in violation of their labor rights, which protect workers' right to organize and to protest for better working conditions. So the NLRB, which is the federal agency that works to ensure those rights, yesterday said it had reviewed these complaints, and while not all of them had merit, it found that a bunch of them did. And in particular, I think the biggest news is that it found that stores in 13 states unlawfully threatened, disciplined, or fired workers who went on strike. This is really big news. On the one hand, because we have been hearing complaints of this from Walmart workers for a long time, but on the other hand, we haven't seen any action against the company for a long time. The company itself, in its statement about the NLRB's announcement yesterday, pointed out that over the last 5 years, neither the NLRB or courts have found that the company violated the laws that protect workers' rights. So this is a really big departure from that trend. There's a lot in its announcement that it's claiming the company has done that's been unlawful. So it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, Walmart is right that they haven't been, that there actually hasn't been any action against them in many, many years. But that's more that has more to say what the NLRB has actually been done over the last 5 years or so than actually what Walmart has done.
Right. We haven't seen a very robust NLRB in a while, even under President Obama. Not a whole lot of action there. I think most union organizers would agree that workers' rights have not been very well protected for a long time. We've also seen, of course, declining unionization and just workers sort of losing power for a long time now. So that's also why this decision is kind of startling for those who have been pushing for workers' rights, because it's a really bold action against an incredibly large company, one that's been known to use these tactics that they claim are lawful, that workers claim are unlawful, to discourage unionization. I mean, they have never had unionization in their entire history among their workers. So this could really change things up. On the other hand, however, I mean, anything that the NLRB does, we have seen, becomes a pretty big political football, even small things. And this is a big thing. So I don't think, just with this announcement, it's sort of, wipe off your hands and walk away, things are going to get better for workers.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, so do you know, so what happens now when it comes to this prosecution? How exactly does that work? Is it, so they're going to be going to court? How does this actually go? What happens in the process now?
I'm not a labor law expert, but yes, I believe it goes to court. I mean, this is basically a lawsuit from the NLRB against Walmart. Walmart will defend itself vigorously, I'm sure. I don't know really what the timeline looks like there, but and as I said, actions from the NLRB become very politicized. So I'm not even sure that, that could end up being delayed for political reasons or pushed back. So I think we're going to really want to keep our eye on this and make sure that, liberals don't sort of let this fall off the radar, because I think that a lot of business interests and a lot of conservatives are going to start pushing back on this pretty loudly and forcefully.